Imagine waking up to such a breathtaking panorama daily, setting off on uncharted journeys, and traversing the globe with an unburdened spirit. Retirement doesn't equate to deceleration. Rather, it signifies the luxury of witnessing the countless destinations that have inhabited your dreams. However, what's the actual price tag for such a lifestyle? In this video, we will discuss the essential factors you should consider and guide you on how to approximate the expenses for your journey. But before we proceed, hit that subscribe button and enable the notification bell, ensuring you never miss valuable knowledge. Let's begin by delving into the three categories of travelers. The initial category of high-end explorers, luxury travelers, focuses on their distinctive traits. These individuals often opt for lavish destinations, such as renowned places like Switzerland, Dubai, the South Pacific, or even Singapore. Luxury travelers typically favor goals where the cost of living is relatively higher. Another key characteristic of this group is that they often aren't full-time travelers. Instead, they embark on vacations or exquisite tours that span from a few weeks to at most a month. These individuals commonly opt for first-class travel experiences, whether flying, renting cars, or having access to a private driver. Furthermore, luxury travelers choose accommodations that align with their preferences, often opting for upscale resorts and luxurious hotels. When it comes to dining, their culinary choices lean towards dining out at top-tier restaurants, frequently favoring establishments with a 5-star rating. Typically, during tours, the focus is on package tours, where the organization handles the arrangements, allowing participants to arrive and be guided without worrying about the details of the itinerary or destination. These represent the key traits of a luxury traveler. Conversely, on the opposite side, the budget traveler comes into play. During global journeys, various categories of budget travelers have been encountered. The first one is the youthful backpacker, and there's much to admire about these young individuals journeying globally. They bear all their possessions on their backs, enduring 20-hour bus rides and remaining in constant motion. However, they're highly aware of their food, transportation, and accommodation expenses. The other subset of budget vacationers is the slow traveler, who tends to be an older demographic. The slow traveler typically stays in inexpensive hostels or hotels. The living expenses across global nations vary significantly. If you're curious, approximately 80 to 90% of countries worldwide have a lower cost of living than the US. Among the favored destinations for slow travelers, Southeast Asian countries like Thailand and regions like the Balkans, such as our current location Kosovo, are popular choices. The majority of Balkan countries offer a notably affordable living experience. Likewise, Central and South American nations also provide various options for budget-conscious travelers. There are numerous global destinations where you can explore, each offering expenses that are approximately half of those in the United States. The next trait of a slow traveler is their deliberate pace. They often extend their stays in locations, commonly for around a month, yielding significant benefits. One advantage is the likelihood of securing substantial discounts on accommodations due to the extended duration of their stay. Moreover, refraining from constant movement between destinations also results in lower transportation expenses, which undoubtedly presents a significant financial advantage. The third trait of a slow traveler is their inclination towards economic choices. They actively seek out deals for their flights and opt for public transportation, often relying on buses, metros, and trains. Renting a car or taking a taxi is a rarity for them. Their focus remains on minimizing transportation expenses whenever possible. Moving on, another characteristic is their commitment to reducing lodging expenses. They often choose to stay in Airbnb accommodations, taking advantage of the monthly discount by extending their stays for a whole month. This approach substantially lowers their lodging costs. The fifth trait involves their utilization of the kitchens within their Airbnb lodgings. They opt to cook at home, often visit local grocery stores, and seldom dine out. Another attribute is their preference for engaging in low-cost or budget-friendly activities. They actively seek various options such as exploring free museums, participating in complimentary walking tours, or attending affordable movie screenings. The final trait of the slow traveler involves reducing tour expenses. They carefully plan their budget and conduct thorough research. They're familiar with historical backgrounds and might opt for audio guides instead of hiring tour guides. They aim to minimize the financial aspect of their tours. You might be curious about where we fit into this spectrum. You don't fall under the category of backpackers, nor are you classified as slow or luxury travelers. Perhaps you prefer to identify as travel bargain hunters, incorporating certain traits from each traveler type to shape the approach. Now let's delve into some of these aspects. The first approach involves finding a balance between high and low cost countries. The goal is to explore the entire world. Subsequently, the following action consists in rushing. This distinguishes us from unhurried travelers. Our approach resembles that of backpackers, carrying backpacks on our backs and changing locations every week. One approach taken to minimize cost is regional travel. Another favorite practice involves making use of public transportation. Opting for public transportation whenever feasible is driven by its affordability and the chance it offers to engage deeply with the local culture. On occasion, high-end travel is also considered. Next is lodging, the inclination towards middle-of-the-road choices. The aim is to strike a balance, avoiding subpar accommodations and extravagant five-star hotels. The present location would command a $200 per night rate in the United States. Moving to the food aspect, there's an effort to balance preparing meals at home and dining out. Exploring local restaurants and sampling traditional dishes is a delightful experience in each area. While it may incur slightly higher costs, it's a worthwhile endeavor during travel. Next in line are DIY tours. Perhaps you're still curious about the expense. As you might have observed, a wide range of budget possibilities exist. It's akin to visiting an ice cream or yogurt shop and piling various toppings like Snickers, Milky Way, and more. To give you an idea, we've established the budget traveler range at $40,000 to $60,000, with the aspects we've discussed factored into that estimate. Let's now discuss the elements of your expenses and how to calculate them. A helpful guideline is that roughly 40% of your expenses are allocated for transportation, while lodging accounts for about 25%. Around 20% is typically designated for food, 10% for entertainment, and approximately 5% for miscellaneous items. This breakdown is proven to be reasonably reliable over the years. For a budget of $50,000, transportation costs amount to more than $1,600. It's important to note that this budget covers expenses for two individuals and encompasses the return journey to the United States. Accommodation costs slightly exceed $1,000, translating to just over $30 per night, making monthly rentals a practical consideration. Food expenses amount to slightly above $800 each month. Lodging is around $400, with an additional $200 for miscellaneous expenses. As evident, adhering to this budget requires considerable effort. You must be highly conscious of all your expenses and might need to reallocate funds between different categories. For instance, you could shift some transportation expenses to lodging or food. The approach you take in terms of travel will heavily influence this, but the task is undeniably demanding, necessitating constant vigilance. Since the spectrum of travel expenses varies significantly, inquiring about the cost of traveling the world is akin to asking for the price of a house. It's highly dependent on numerous factors. There's a multitude of options available. Therefore, a reasonable approach could involve considering a budget traveler with a starting point of around $50,000. From there, you can factor in additional costs or experiences that align with your travel requirements. For instance, if you plan to visit more costly countries, you might allocate an additional $1,000 per week for those destinations. Similarly, if you wish to embark on a luxurious experience such as a cruise, you would also factor in that expense. When assessing your budget, consider your allocated funds for food and lodging. If you find meeting those expenses challenging, you can incorporate additional funds accordingly. This might lead to an annual budget of around $70,000 to $80,000 or even higher. traveler. The key is to plan a global journey based on your preferences while comprehending the various cost components. A $75,000 annual trip around the world might be beyond your means. In such a scenario, there are alternative approaches you can consider. For instance, you might opt to travel in the style of a budget traveler, allowing you to explore the entire world for a year while adopting a different travel approach. Another option to consider if you're determined to have the $75,000 experience is to evaluate your domestic expenditures. Are there assets like a boat or a vacation home that you could sell? Adjusting your financial approach at home might enable you to afford the desired travel budget. For instance, we've personally sold off our possessions and eliminated expenses at home. This approach has allowed us to enjoy more luxurious things during our global travels. A third option to consider is reframing your perspective on the budget. Instead of viewing it as an annual recurring expense, consider embarking on a shorter journey. Travel the world for 1 year or even 9 months. This way, you can explore the globe without needing a full-time, sustained budget, making it possible to experience the world within your financial means. Therefore, seize the opportunity to explore the world, create lasting memories, and make your retirement extraordinary. Thanks for watching. Until next time.